Hey everyone, this is Dr. Billy Williams. I absolutely appreciate you being here today. We're going to start with our aged internet lead training. We've got special guest Bill Rice he's here on behalf of the Age Lead Store. And before we get started though, there are a couple of housekeeping things that I need to make sure are done. First thing is I need to read our disclaimer. We are a mentoring company, not a legal firm. We can discuss generalities and recommendations for using Inspire Nation business mentoring processes in ways that are consistent with our understanding of the laws. Our training is not a substitute for you obtaining competent, specific legal advice on any of the subjects covered in the training, scripting, and implementation of process suggestions. In some cases, there may be federal, state, or local laws, as well as specific carrier guidelines that may alter, impact, enhance, or supersede the way Inspire Nation teaches and recommends a process. Our training does not address these issues. Again, specific legal advice should be sought to ensure compliance. So, Bill, if you would please take a moment and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll open up some poll questions and get on with our training.
Yeah, definitely. So, like Billy introduced me, my name is Bill Rice. I do a lot of the marketing sales efforts on behalf of Age Lead Store and Next Wave Marketing Strategies, which Troy Wilson's the CEO of that company. So, over the many years that we've been doing this, we have learned a lot about not only how to use Age Leads, but also how to apply certain sales strategies, techniques, and technologies to make all of you guys more successful in using any kind of lead source, whether it be real-time age leads or even from the web or the variety of other places that you get inquiries. So.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, so let's get going here. We got a lot of training to do, so I don't want to take a lot of time with fluff stuff. You guys know how I am about that. There are three ways for you to ask questions. Understand, when we say ask questions, we want to talk to you. We're going to address your questions live. But there are three ways that you can do that. First way is if you're on the telephone, just raise your hand. It lets me know that you want to talk, and then I will send you a pin if you didn't put it in the beginning. I can unmute you and mute you, and then you can ask questions directly to me, directly to Bill, and we can answer those questions for you. I love that because it lets the audience hear the response and hear the questions and hear a lot of times hear your confusion or your explanation of why you're asking that question. If you have a computer microphone, we can do the exact same thing, okay? But again, you have to have a computer microphone. And then you can always ask questions by using the questions button, but that's just a static question. I'd much rather go ahead and talk to you. We're going to start with a couple of poll questions just to make sure that everyone can clearly see and hear the session. So our first poll question is, can you clearly hear and see the session? Can you clearly hear and see the session? Now, while this is going on, I do want to remind you we have a full house. So that means there are some of you that are trying to log on the web part of it and you're not able to get in because all of the web seats are filled. And we don't just have 25 or 50 or 75 web seats. We have well over 100 web seats. And so if they get full, they just get full. It's just like if you go to any other event. If that event is filled, it's just filled. You have to stand at the back of the room. Well, standing at the back of the room for us means you can only get on the phone part. You can't get on the web part. If you're not on the web part, then that means you can't get the downloads. That's the best way to put it. You can't use the downloads or you can't ask questions. So looking at this, let's go ahead and close and let's share the results with you. 97% of you say, yes, I can clearly see and hear the session. 3% say, no, I can't hear the session. And then, of course, nobody can say, I can't see the session, or you couldn't vote, right? So those of you that can't hear the session, that's something on your side. You can't hear me say that, but there's something on your side that's preventing that. That's not on our side because 97% of the folks can clearly see and hear. So let's go with our second poll question, which is this your first Inspire a Nation webinar? Is this your first Inspire a Nation webinar? And your choices are, yes, this is my first Inspire Nation webinar, or no, this is not my first Inspire Nation webinar. Again, I like to leave my polls out for about 45 seconds. Any longer than that, it starts to get a little boring, and I hate boring. So again, your choices are yes, this is my first session, or no, this is not my first session. All right, looks like everyone's voted. We're over 90%. So let's go ahead and share the results with you. 47% of you say, yes, this is my first Inspire Nation webinar. So thank you so much for being here. This is unlike any other webinar that you've attended, that I can promise you. And 53% say, no, this is not my first Inspire Nation webinar. And you're probably saying, well, Billy, how can you say that with such confidence? Because, guys, I am not a consultant. I am an agent, just like you are an agent. I just happen to figure out some things that work, and I happen to invest in some other agencies. So now we've got about 46 agencies within our portfolio. But the things that we do, and we talk about aged internet leads, we do these every day. And one of the things I said earlier to Bill is until a person has made or lost money doing something, they truly don't understand it. And I've made money doing stuff the right way, and I've lost money doing stuff the wrong way, which is why there's no fluff in any of our webinars, okay? The whole mentoring piece for me, this is my business ministry. I'm a God-fearing man, and this is part of my giving back, and the best way that I found, or the best talent that God gave me, was the ability to kind of do some business things. So this is part of my business ministry, and it's something that I love to do. But from a day-to-day, how do you pay your bills standpoint, I own insurance agencies, and that's what we're sharing with you, the knowledge and wisdom about owning those agencies. So with that being said, let's get back into some of our good stuff. We got other poll questions that are going to be out, but I want to make sure we get started. Here's a saying that I wrote in my book, and a saying that I kind of live by every day when it comes to business. The business with the largest database of interested prospects that effectively works that database and has a fair price will always grow bigger than their competition. So for those of you on the phone, I'm going to say that again. The business with the largest database of interested prospects that effectively works that database and has a fair price will always grow bigger than their competition. Let's break that down into three key things here. Largest database. Aged internet leads will allow you to grow your database at a very reasonable price. Interested prospects. These are folks that requested a quote, or they wouldn't be in Troy's database. Do you effectively work that database? That means that you are doing something, whether it's systematized, whether it's automated, whether it's using some type of technology, that you're effectively working and reworking that database. And you have a fair price. I don't even have to have the best price. I just need to be in the ballpark. I just need to be fair, and I'll always grow bigger than my competition. So Bill, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I do, and we've seen the success as well. So it's not just theory. We actually watch it work. So
excellent, excellent. All right, guys, there are four primary ways that you can obtain internet leads. You can purchase real-time internet leads that are generated by a third party. You can get internet leads because of online search results, people finding you, clicking on your links, your blog links, different things like that, or clicking on your website. Self-generated web leads. These are web forms that people fill out, material that they download, and they provide their name and email address. Drip email or normal email blasts that you send out that have a call to action. Social networking, where you connect with folks and they see your post and they see what you're out there doing as far as business. And then webinars like this, where you provide your information in exchange for some great mentoring. So there's some self-generated things that you can do. And then there's purchase aged internet leads, which Troy and the Aged Lead Store, they are the masters of aged internet leads, and that's why I support them. And you guys that have been around a while, you know I pick one vendor per vertical. That's it. I don't have 20, 30, 40 different vendors that we support or that we try to affiliate with. We pick the best of the best from each vertical. And I truly feel, and I have for the last 3 years, I think now, Troy and I have worked together, that he by far is the best when it comes to aged internet leads or within that vertical. So that's why I love to do presentations with that particular company, okay? The main complaints about purchased internet leads: poor quality, poor return on investment. It creates too much follow-up work for the staff, or it consumes the staff's time and pulls them away from other prospecting campaigns. So Bill is going to address those four major concerns throughout his presentation today. So Bill, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and shift everything over to you here, sir. and you will become the presenter. All right. And I'll let you know when we can see your screen.
Okay.
All right. We see your screen. You're in your slide deck. So
it's in full mode here.
There we go.
Dr. All right. Thank you for obviously inviting us. We love this topic, and I can assure you, not only are we going to tell you how to use age leads as a part of your sales process, because we really think of ourselves as part of a larger sales ecosystem that you're probably running, but I can assure you that the things that we'll show you today will take your whole sales process up a level and a notch. So this is not just for age leads. You will definitely find some stuff in here that you can use beyond that particular realm or that particular channel. So here's the agenda. Again, Dr. Billy Williams has sort of queued this up, but I just want to reiterate, we're going to first talk about what age leads are, and I'm going to ask you a poll question here in a little bit just to understand you as an audience a little bit better and your familiarity so we don't waste too much time defining the problem that we're going to talk about today. We're also going to hit right on the nose those things that are often deterrents to using age leads or any sort of online internet lead. That is cost and ROI, potentially concerns over competition over those particular leads. And then we're going to get into the meat of today's presentation, which is the sales process itself. And those systems and those processes and a tiny bit of those technologies that we've seen to make really effective use of really any sort of lead, but in particular age leads. And so that will shape our agenda. Let's go into our first poll question. And again, this is for me, so that I understand where you sit so that I can most efficiently address your improving your knowledge today. And that is, have you used age leads in the past? And our options are going to be, and Billy will queue up this question.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and open the poll question for you.
Okay.
And so it says, I've used age internet leads. The choices are, for those of you on the phone, the choices are never, within the last 30 days, and more than 30 days ago. So you're basically letting us know, have you ever used aged internet leads? Have you used them within the last 30 days, or has it been more than 30 days ago since you last used aged internet leads? Okay, Bill, the poll is running.
Okay, excellent.
So we still got about 25 seconds before I shut it down. You know, I hate dead air. Like a radio host, I hate dead air. So if there's some other things you want to discuss about this question, please go ahead and do that.
Definitely. I mean, I think this is really interesting because one of the things we're going to talk about here in a little bit is really the reality of the sales leads that you're working. This is really going to be important to you learning some of the systems and the techniques we're going to talk about, because in essence, and I'll kind of show you how this actually works, chances are your database that you're kind of working in the context of an aged lead at any given time. Probably the majority of your database would fall into the definition of an aged lead. So regardless, it's kind of interesting. Here we got our poll results.
Yep. So 37% for those of you on the phone, 37% of those online today say they've never purchased an aged internet lead. 13% say they have within the last 30 days, and 50% or more say that it's been over 30 days. Okay, so a lot of folks that tried them in the past maybe didn't understand quite how to use them, or just it fell off the radar for whatever reason, and they're back today to get more information and mentoring on how to properly use those, Bill.
So yeah, this is a perfect audience. So this is telling me about 87% of you or so have essentially not purchased. Let me go ahead and pull my screen back over here. Mm-hmm. So this is telling me about 87% of you haven't intentionally sort of purchased or used age leads within the last 30 days. But I'm sort of going to make a case as we go through this that I would contend that probably all 87% of you are essentially working aged leads by definition. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So what are age leads? So when I talk about the definition of an age lead, and when I make the sort of bold claim that all 87% of you are working this age lead problem, why do I say that? Well, because an age lead is essentially a person who has raised their hand and has shown some interest and has requested some follow-up or some information about insurance products within the last 30, 60, 90, maybe even longer period of time, and for whatever reason, they didn't make that decision to buy at that time. So when I say that 87% of you are actually working age leads, I'm saying that if you were to look at your database today, I would say that the majority of the people that you're trying to contact, that you're trying to engage in with a sales process, probably fit that definition of 30, 60, or 90 days since they actually made the initial inquiry, or since they initially sort of came into your sales funnel. So you're going to be working this whether you buy them or not. So this is really important that you're on this call. And here's a couple of reasons why that happens. There's a lot of reasons why your database, the majority of your database, is going to age beyond and into this definition of age leads. A lot of times when a person initially makes an inquiry, they just simply get overwhelmed. A lot of times they shop around. They'll put their information out in a lot of different places. And of course, being salespeople, everybody's going to try to diligently contact them as quickly as possible. And sometimes that process just overwhelms them. They're not expecting it. And then many times, their initial contacts, whoever that they've submitted an inquiry to, or whoever they've engaged initially, just simply neglects or dissatisfies them. So they just sort of float out there without being served, quite honestly. And so as a result, even though by definition these consumers have moved into this age leads category, we have to be careful not to discount them, because in all actuality, those are the people that are still ripe for a very professional and competent response to their inquiries. So age leads are definitely a fruitful ground. Here's also sort of another way to kind of pique your interest in why age leads are important. And it's just the simple economics of age leads. So let's just talk about real-time leads. I know Dr. Billy Williams has introduced you to real-time leads, and just the actuality of how much they cost as a result of sort of having that premium spot as being able to inquire with them immediately. They tend to cost more, and as a result, you can't buy as many of them. And given just the nature of any sort of sales funnel, that $1,000 marketing spend is probably going to dwindle down a little bit, and you're going to lose some of those leads, and you may get 6 deals out of it. Well, at the end of the day, we all know, no matter how good you are at sales and no matter how good your sales process is, at the end of the day, sales is still a game of large numbers. And so really, age leads fills a really interesting part in this process, in that it allows you to sort of get to that large number more efficiently. So for $1,000, you can obviously buy a lot more leads, and as a result, as you're honing that process, you should be able to easily accomplish more deals with the same level of marketing spend. Another really important component of this, and I always use the analogy of a baseball player. If a baseball player gets called up from the minor leagues, he might not get enough at-bats to bat 300, right? So the first thing that anybody has to accomplish is just to get enough at-bats so that they can potentially get that ratio in line. So, if you need to get, 100 leads in order to get one deal, because conversion rate's 1%, if you don't buy 100 leads, if you don't get 100 leads, you may simply not have enough at-bats to even get one deal. So age leads allows us to get enough at-bats and still keep it affordable, such that we can actually accomplish the process of actually getting to a closed deal. Here's another little way to look at the ROI math here, and this really kind of gets to the precise point that I was making earlier, that you're probably, in all actuality, going to be working age leads anyway. And this is because this is how the world works, as far as, in particular for internet leads. So when somebody goes onto the internet and they make an inquiry, about 25% of that total population are just simply not sales ready, meaning they're just initially starting to think about their insurance needs. They're just beginning to shop around and figure out whether they even need to replace their current policy. So right off the top, a very, very small number of those real-time leads, a very, very small number of maybe your AdWords or your Google spend is even ready to take or to be the recipient of a sales call. And then on top of that, we know from research that only about 2 to 5% of any lead will actually close on its first contact. So that first contact, although super critical, it has a very, very low probability of ever turning into a sale. So it's just simply going to take more time. It's going to take more contacts. But having said all of that, saying that your initial sort of entree into that contact, or your initial, is a low probability of converting, we do know from research that of all of the internet inquiries that happen out there, about 50% of them will close at some point in the future with someone. And so really, again, it gets back to the large numbers game. You need to have the maximum opportunity to sort of be there when they close, and a lot of times, based on these first two numbers, that's going to take some time, so they're going to need some time to age. And therefore, about 45 to 80, or 45 to 80, or boy, 45 to 48% of sales, just in general, by definition, occur within that definition of aged leads. So if you were to look at all the sales that you do, and you were to go back and look at your successes over the last year, my guess would be you'll find nearly 50% of the sales that you do would actually fall into the definition of an aged lead. So here's one more. I'd just like to kind of tee up all the perspectives that you may look at why you should consider this type of sales process, and that's the competition. So in a lot of cases, aged leads essentially give you a competitive advantage, because this is the way most of your competitors, and by the way, as I go through this, if this happens to be you, make sure you change some of these habits, because there's a likelihood that these are some of your own habits. But the competition, about 48% of leads only get a single phone call. And then of those, obviously it dwindles down. Only 25% of that total population will get 2 calls, 12% will get 3 calls, and then only 10% will get more than 3 contacts or calls. So the average lead, and again, this is research-based, and this has been, I've seen this year over year over year. This has been, this sort of study has been conducted many times and comes always to the same result. The average lead takes between 5 and 7 contacts to actually close. So again, to the notion of at-bats, most of your competitors aren't even getting enough attempts in order to make the lead that they bought close. So a couple of different effects here. One, you need to make sure that your sales process gives you those 5 to 7 opportunities to actually get to the close. But the other thing is, in some sort of weird way, potentially an aged lead, which may have been at some point a real-time lead or those sorts of things, your competition may have actually queued them up for you to be more successful and actually maybe even have less contacts in order to get the sale, because someone's probably contacted them before.
Hey, Bill, let me jump in real quick. Let me jump in real quick and throw some other information in there. Guys, you know, and those are folks that are willing and able and ready to make a decision. Like he said, only a few of those folks are actually in the buying decision mode. But there's some research that was done by Amazon, Google, eBay, all that. And what they found out was that when people went out and actually put stuff in their shopping cart, like you and I decide we want to buy a book or a vacuum cleaner or something online, we go out and we put the stuff in our shopping cart. Only 25% of the folks that put stuff in their shopping cart actually buy at the exact same time. 75% of those folks delay, and it takes anywhere from 2 to 3, sometimes 4 different reminders from Amazon or reminders from eBay to say, hey, you went out and said you wanted this vacuum cleaner, but you haven't bought it. What's going on? So you figure that into the equation, not just people who we never got in contact with or people who weren't ready to buy, but people who were just out kind of shopping, people who are like, you know, I'm not even interested in this right now. I really just wanted to see what the price would be. And then you also have those folks that are just procrastinators. I am ready to buy. I do know I need insurance. I am about to come up on my X date. My insurance is about to expire, but I think I'm going to go look at birds before I actually put my credit card in. So you got to deal with that as well. So that's why when even those big boys, the online boys, have to do 3 or 4 follow-ups, or girls, excuse me, online businesses have to do 3 or 4 follow-ups. Just imagine us, and we're not sexy. So there we go. So, Bill, I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Yeah, you just defined me. I use my Amazon cart like a wish list. I don't even know why they have wish lists.
Got you.
All right, so let's go into the poll, and again, we're going to get into the meat of the actual systems and processes, and I'm going to show you some techniques that we've seen successful with the agents that are our clients that are buying our leads. But ahead of that, I'd love to know when you're making that initial contact on a lead, what is your preferred initial contact method? And so Billy will bring that up.
Hold on one second. I'm going to
I'll let you find it.
open that poll up here for you, sir. And so the next question is, my primary attempt to contact a new lead is by, and that's the one that you want me to open up there, sir?
Correct.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
So the question is, for those of you on the phone, it says, my primary attempt to contact a new lead is by, and your choices are phone, email, text message, and direct mail. Again, my primary attempt to contact a new lead is by, and your choices are phone, email, text message, and direct mail. While we're waiting on that, guys, I'm going to come back before he gets into his next part of the presentation, and I'm going to go over the sales goal formula that we share with our members and that we teach our members when they're ordering leads or they're running any type of campaign. And it's a short little simple formula, but it really helps us determine the amount of work and the volume of leads that we need to generate. So I'm going to show you that formula after we do the poll question, but before we get back to Bill's actual presentation. So Bill, I'm going to go ahead and close this down and share the results with you here.
Okay.
71% of the folks say phone. So when they get a lead, they primarily call it by phone, 71%. 23% say email. Nobody, no percent, 0% says text messaging, which you and I talked about before the presentation. And then 6% say direct mail. So there are your answers, sir.
Excellent.
Okay. Now, again, before we get into the presentation, though, unless you have something you want to say specifically about that, then I want to go ahead and show my goal, my sales goal. All right, perfect. So let me show my sales goal, and then you'll be able to lock in. So, guys, this is the formula that we use. Very simple formula. It's our sales goal formula, and it's number of prospects times, in parentheses, sales goal divided by actual sales. So let's say I mailed out 1,000 letters as an example. Pretty expensive, but let's just say I did that. And out of the 1,000 letters that I mailed out so far within my campaign, I've gotten 15 sales, but I needed 25. So I can take that formula and say, next time I run this campaign, I need to mail out 1,666 letters in order to meet my 25 sales based on the results of this campaign. This is where a lot of folks don't, what he said about up to bats, a lot of folks don't come up to bat enough to hit the sales goal that they really want. So it's also based on how strong of a salesperson you are. It's based on the quality of the leads that you're getting. It's based on your ability to contact or using automation. All that kind of fits into your campaign. But if you just look at your prior campaigns, your past campaigns, and you apply this sales goal, what you said, Bill, about not getting enough bats to hit 300 is so on par for most folks. In order for me to grow an agency, especially one that we've just acquired or we've just invested into, one of the things that I have to do is I always have to pick up the prospecting pace, because they'll sit there and they say, oh, we get 3 leads from this realtor and we get 2 leads from this, and I buy one real-time internet lead a week, and I buy 25 age leads a week. And I'm like, and what are you doing with that? I'm sorry, how is that supposed to help you grow your business? I'm not understanding this. And so when we sit down and look at real numbers, Bill, and say, look, this is what it's going to take for you to hit the sales goal that you set for your business, a lot of times they're in shock. There's no way I can buy 700 real-time internet leads. I can't afford that. Then you need to supplement that with other marketing efforts. You need to make sure that if the drip email produced 5 of those leads, how many emails do you have to send out to make sure that you're where you need to be? If you have aged internet leads as a part of that mix, how many more do you need to buy? If you're doing social networking, if you're doing internet, if you're doing whatever. And so, Bill, as you go through this, I think if they just take this simple sales goal formula and apply that to their current situation, they'll realize there's no reason for you not to have age leads as a part of your prospecting mix, because for you to hit your sales numbers, you probably need to talk to a hell of a lot more prospects than you're talking to today. So, yeah, all right, Bill, I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, I love that formula, because it really does sort of give you an actionable insight into kind of what you need to do and where you're at. Because we talk to so many people that say, how many leads do you get a month? Well, I get 100 leads. Well, how many sales do you need to sustain yourself? as an agency and they say something like 25 or 50, and it's like, well, no sales organization is good enough to yield at 25, 50% of their total leads, right? So you're already behind. So that's a great formula to really get an understanding of where you're at. So let's see.
Why leads don't get follow-ups. That's what we see so far.
Okay, so let me, don't know why. Okay, so why leads don't get follow-up? So this is a really interesting point because we're going to start to build sales systems here. And one of the things that's so important about sales system is really understanding why you need to build it in the first place. And really it comes down to leads just simply don't get the necessary follow-ups. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And our systems are going to take over and get rid of some of these reasons. But we need to kind of take ownership of them. The obvious is sales is just not as easy as it appears, right? There's a lot of techniques that are needed. There's a lot of consistency. There's a lot of frequency that needs to be put in here. So it's just simply harder than you think. So sometimes you just need to mentally get prepared to understand that sales is something that takes some work, right? You have to get good at it and you have to apply some effort to it. Only a few of your leads are going to be qualified initially. They're going to be sales ready, if you will. We're going to talk about quality a little bit. So it's as important in the beginning of your sales system to have a very effective and efficient way to cull through the ones that are sales ready, the ones that are qualified, and the ones that simply are not qualified or maybe don't even want to engage with you over time. And of course, as you're going through this process, there's always frustration, there's always burnout, there's always those sorts of things. So you just sort of mentally get over those things. Low levels of accountability. If you're like Dr. Williams and you're running one or more agencies, you got to make sure that you have accountability into the process. So often we will walk into an agency, and one of the things I always like to do with them is say, hey, rack and stack your agents from top to bottom of the best agents and the worst agents as far as sales performance. And invariably what you'll see because of these low levels of accountability is that the ones that are gobbling up the most leads from you are probably your worst performers, and your best performers are very efficient. So if you don't have those accountability measures, you can literally have some of your poorest performers just bleeding you dry, whether you're buying leads or whatever your marketing source is. So be careful of that. Make sure that accountability is in place, and then just simply not having a system or a process at all. And we're going to fix that today. So here's a really important point to understand as well. This is the way we think sales happen inherently, and it's kind of an intuitive thing. So let's say you get 100 new leads. Your assumption is that the majority of those leads are actually going to close within a short period of time. So this graph you can use it as months, days, hours, whatever you want to do. But really what you're looking at here is our assumption is that if we get 100 leads, and we're going to turn eventually 25 of those into deals, our assumption is that all 25 of those will happen within the first month or so, or within the first sort of tranche or interval of time period. But it doesn't happen like that. And any of you who've been in the game for a while kind of understand that. This is really what happens, right? On a even basis, on a consistent basis, that cohort, that initial group of 100 leads will actually most likely start to close at 5 in the first month, 5 in the second month, 5 in the third month, 5 in the fourth month, and so on and so on. And so what you're really trying to do, knowing that, is as you buy those leads, you're trying to stack those closing levels so that you have a nice fat. If you need 25 a month, you actually need 100 this month, and you need 100 the next month. Then you need to start building this system that will allow you to consistently close the 5 from the first month, and then 10 from the first and the second month, right? And you start to stack these because this is the way it works. These people, just because of the nature of people and where they are when they actually make the initial inquiry, they're going to close over a long period of time. But in most likely cases, 50% or so, they're going to close at some point because they were in the market. They know that they have a need. So let's talk about the sales process. So there's a few things that we need and that we know that we need, and this is why it becomes important to use things like CRMs and dialers and technologies that will really allow us to be more efficient. We know that sales require 5 to 7 touches. We know that sales requires a consistency and a frequency over time in order to yield revenue. And we know that it's really hard to sustain the level of sales intensity on these leads over that long period of time to accomplish the 5 to 7 touches if we don't have a system, if we don't have some sort of technology constantly pushing those inquiries up in front of us and telling us we need to make contact, we need to build a relationship, we need to make that second, third, fourth, fifth input. And as a result, we're going to talk about this in a second, a lot of people, because they all think that sales all happen in the initial phase, an initial time interval, they use really sort of short-term management techniques like their email inbox or spreadsheets, and those just simply don't scale, and they certainly aren't enforceable over time. Try to manage a multitude of marketing channels through a spreadsheet, and you can see almost immediately that the spreadsheet is very two-dimensional and doesn't work across time. And therefore, we need to leverage these technologies. We need to, in addition to the technologies, we need to create a system around them. We need to leverage the automation and make sure that it works appropriately and it creates a natural interaction with the client. And then we need templates, right? We need things that we can do quickly and efficiently over and over again without having to think about it. Otherwise, it'll be too painful for us to implement.
Hey, Bill, let me jump in real quick for you. Guys, if you don't take anything else away from today's session, I would hope that you would take away, have a pre-established email template that you use to follow up, and have a pre-established conversation that your team can use. Guys, you should pretty much have the exact same conversation with every single Age Internet person that you talk to initially. Of course, each of their needs are going to be different and you're going to go from there. But one of the things that we do is everyone kind of says the same thing when we call. Hey, we see that you did a request online. We don't say when. We say we see that you did a request online. I was assigned your file and I need to verify some information so I can get you out the best quote. And we act like we're supposed to be there. And a lot of you don't. Hey, if it's not a problem, if you don't mind, I hate to bother you. Do you have time right now? I hate that question. If you're doing that, stop doing that. Don't call people and go, hey, I'm with this company and I'd like to talk to you. You got a few minutes right now? You just basically said, are you going to kick me off the phone? Is that what you're getting ready to do to me? Come on, guys. Act like you're supposed to be there. So I got your file. I've got the information that you submitted online. I'm going to go ahead and ask a couple of questions to make sure that I got everything, and then I'll get you out the best and most accurate coverage and price that I can. So let me start with this. Act like you're supposed to be there. That's the first thing. And if you train that, if you role play that, you'll see that you get a greater response. It's the same thing with your email template. You need to make sure that your email template is already set up, and it should pretty much mirror your conversation. Hey, I see you did a request online. I was assigned your file, and I am going to follow up with you to make sure that I've got the information to get you out the best coverage and the best price. Guys, use those templates. If you don't take anything else away, if you don't jump on the automation that he's going to talk about, if you don't understand that I need to contact him 5 to 7 times, at least get those things in place. Okay. Go ahead, Bill. I told you it was going to be hard for me to shut up, Bill. I'm doing my best.
No, this is all good.
Doing my best.
This is all good stuff.
Okay.
That's good stuff. So to kind of condition my presentation of the sales system, I would love to know today, how are you managing your sales process? Are you using that email inbox, your email client? Is your primary CRM? Are you using a spreadsheet or a series of spreadsheets? Or are you actually using a CRM system or a dialer or some sort of marketing automation email system? So give me a little insight into that. And just to reiterate what Dr. Williams is saying, understanding, and I think this is really important too, that initial contact being highly scripted is really kind of important because you need to have role played it, you need to be comfortable with the language, the way that you're going to engage, and you also need to have tuned that script to take into context where that lead came from. And in age lead, this is particularly important. I love what Dr. Williams said about his approach when he opens with an age lead is you made an inquiry online or you made an inquiry and I was assigned your file. It really puts that person in the right frame of mind, in the right context for how you may have come about contacting them. It doesn't feel like, so many times when somebody says, hey, this is Bill Rice and I'm calling you you about insurance, you're kind of opening up like I ran into you at the the high school football game and we became friends, and I'm just following up on that. So you don't want to make it's obvious it's not familiar. It's obvious you don't have a relationship yet, but using that kind of introduction that takes into context where they came from and potentially how they remember that process, or how they sort of came. It makes it all sort of natural. They're like, oh, okay, I know why they're calling me because I actually initiated some contact. So that becomes really important to take into context your lead sources and script to the lead source, or script to the marketing channel specifically, so it's in context. Okay, well, these are awesome results.
For those of you on the phone, the results are 60% said they use a CRM, or a contact relationship management tool. 20% say they do spreadsheet, and 20% say they manage it through their email.
Okay. Well, hopefully we're going to get a little shift on that, because as you buy these more complex internet, or as you buy these more complex lead sources, or you just get more complexity in your marketing strategy itself, or you go across more or less marketing channels. Let me go ahead, and I think I have to take this back from you. Oops. Are you seeing my screen, Billy?
Not yet.
Okay, I might not have actually grabbed it.
If you don't see it, I can pull it back over to me and then send it back to you.
Yeah, I could do that because it didn't give me the little pop-up.
No problem. Here, I'll show my screen. Make sure okay, I can see my screen now. I'll hand it back off to you, sir. You're registered it twice. That's probably what it is. I'm not sure which one it's coming to, but it looks like you registered twice. There you go. Now we can see your screen. We see your slide deck.
Okay. Let's get back full screen here. Okay. So anyway, that's good. Hopefully, we're going to move you, beyond a higher percentage using the CRM. Because if you're using the email and the spreadsheet, as you get more complexity in your sort of marketing approach and even your sales approach, where you're getting things from different channels and you're having to deal with them and handle them in different ways, you're going to find real quickly that an email inbox will become overwhelming, or a spreadsheet will become too complex or too disjointed to really apply a natural experience to the customer. And that's really what we're trying to achieve. As you look through this system that I'm getting ready to show you, hopefully one thing you'll be able to see, even visually, is that on the customer's side of the equation, from their experience, it's going to feel natural to them. It's going to feel logical that you've made a contact with them. It's going to feel logical that you're going to follow up with them over a period of time. And you're going to, from their perspective, you're going to feel much more like a concerned individual looking after their needs. They're going to feel more like a client and less like a lead. And that's what we're trying to achieve. And that really becomes, as you see these systems, it's going to be really difficult to sort of replicate that natural feeling with just an inbox or a spreadsheet, just because of the nature of us. Not anything on you. It's just we're human beings, and things get in the way, and we drop the ball sometimes, and those sorts of things. And we can just hold so much in our head, and at some point it just becomes too big a number. So when I talk about sales systems, I want to talk about an integrated approach. So you see on here call, email, you see the
Bill? Bill, did we lose you? Hey guys, do me a favor, because I can't hear him. Maybe it could just be on my side. If you can hear him, can you go down to the, or actually, whether you can or can't, go down to the chat box and just send me a chat.
how we get to that very efficient calling and segmenting of that file as fast and as efficient as possible. So this is why we really recommend a CRM or a dialer, because we need to get through these records very quickly and get them into their proper place in the sales funnel. And so I always advocate a call first. And this is something that I know Dr. Williams talks about a lot because I believe in this concept of familiarity marketing. And so I want them to hear my voice, even if it's something like a voicemail. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to get the sense of they know me, or that I have a reason to be contacting them before I get into something that maybe is a little less personal, like an email or like a physical piece of mail. The voice is just so much more sort of familiar to a person. It feels so much more engaged. If you've practiced it, if you practice working with your voice, if you practiced running through your pitch, then it's going to sound really sort of nice, right? And so I advocate that first contact to always be a call. And I want it to be highly scripted. I want it to be highly practiced because I want it to be smooth. I want it to be elegant, and I want it to sound pleasing, right? And there's really three things I'm trying to decide on that first call. I'm trying to find one, if it's a do not call or just completely disconnected, I have absolutely no opportunity to do anything with that lead. I need to get those out and away from my sales funnel as fast as possible so I'm not wasting time. The second one, and probably the second most, probably the most common engagement that you'll have is you'll have a positive engagement. So notice I use that language because meaning it could take a couple different terms but still be positive. It could actually turn into a sale. That's the most positive. But it could also be the result, or may result in them saying, hey, somebody already called me and I got an insurance product that I'm happy with, but if you, again, with positive attitude, say, hey, I would love the opportunity to follow up with you later, or, hey, would it be okay if I contact you in a few months because life changes and maybe your situation will change. If you sort of put yourself, like Dr. Williams says, like you belong there, like you're trying to, your interaction with them is more like they are a client versus a lead, you can still have a positive engagement. Then you say, thank you, I understand that this isn't something you want to do right now. And then you leave them at a spot where they know they have an expectation that you will follow up with them, and then you put them into your nurturing campaign. So that may be email, that may be a call follow-up system, those sorts of things. But any sort of positive engagement, make sure you don't discard those. So many salespeople, positive engagement, but it didn't result in a sale, and they just simply throw it on the trash heap. We definitely do not want to do that because remember, we're building up those levels of leads that over time will convert, but we definitely want to stack up our database. And then, of course, there's going to be some
Let me jump in real quick and talk a little bit about that familiarity marketing a little bit more, because guys, this is something that's so important. A lot of folks, like he said, they will just get rid of it. Oh, you didn't close, so therefore I'm moving on to the next person. A good, smart business. Remember what I said earlier about the business that has the largest database of interested prospects that works it effectively. You've got multiple ways that you can do familiarity marketing with your customers. So as an example, if I'm on the phone with you, Bill, and you tell me, no, I've already bought my insurance, I've already got this, I'm all good to go, I'm going to say, well, you know what? I understand right now you're happy, but the insurance industry is ever changing. Prices are ever changing. Coverages are ever changing. So what I'll do is I'll follow up with you about 30 to 45 days before your next renewal. And then between now and then, if you have a birthday or something like that, you'll probably get something from me on your birthday. And you know what? I market all the time, so don't be surprised if you see something from me out there on Facebook or LinkedIn, or you see some kind of marketing that we do, because I'm always competing for your business. So let's talk about that real quick. So now every person has a birthday. Okay, if you don't have a birthday, that's the first problem, I would say. But every person has a birthday. We're not maximizing that. We're not taking advantage of that. And if you don't want to call them on your birthday, like we do, we try to call every prospect on their birthday because it's non-solicitation, and we have permission to do that, so we're okay. Second of all, we put them as part of our drip email. So now I'm sending you something on your birthday that's not related to sales that lets you know, one, I'm efficient, and two, I didn't forget about you. Okay. Now, Facebook, LinkedIn, you've got the Facebook custom audiences where if you put an ad and our little ads say, if you are seeing this ad, it's because you requested an online quote. If you're seeing this, it's because you did this. And same thing with LinkedIn. If it's a good conversation, or I go out on LinkedIn and we see that this person is a professional, we see they're out on LinkedIn or they have a profile, what's wrong with us sending a connection request? And what we find is with that familiarity marketing, when I do talk to you 30 to 45 days before your renewal, I'm not a stranger. I'm someone that you've seen out in the marketplace. You're getting stuff. I've got your personal information. You know that because I sent you something on your birthday about it. Your own agent didn't do that. So now when I say, hey, I want to compete for your business, I stand a much greater opportunity to compete than I did if I didn't do that familiarity marketing. So, and that's low cost, guys. That's all low cost or free. So, Bill, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more about that whole positive and that familiarity marketing thing. So, thanks for letting me jump in.
Definitely. And practice this, right? So the other thing you see on here is some of the no contact. I like to have my first 3 calls completely scripted. And I want to practice those over and over again because I can't tell you how important it is to really, this is almost like, and I'm not a good singer, but this is almost like being a singer. You want to condition your voice. You want to practice your voice. You want to make sure that it's pleasing. You want to make sure that you're very efficient with your time because everybody's busy. So just like a singer, you really got to sort of have those voice lessons and spend a lot of time perfecting those first couple of calls. Particularly if you have to leave a voicemail or something like that. But definitely be ready to make a call follow-up because we just see the numbers. You're probably not going to close the sale on that first call, and you're certainly not going to have built a relationship by that first call. So those first 2 or 3 calls, let's practice those a lot so that we have a very pleasing approach, and then we have the ability and we know how we're going to go about building that relationship over time, and it doesn't feel sort of fumbly and awkward and kind of like that first date. So let's make sure that we've really practiced those calls and know that calls are, people enjoy talking to people. So let's make sure that we do that better than anything else.
We got 5 minutes left, Bill.
Okay, we're gonna do this quick. These are definitely critical. Email system, I like to use all these in conjunction. A lot of people will make I think, the bad decision to use email as their screening approach. Again, a voice is much more pleasing, much more personal. It doesn't feel as intrusive as an email. Email is becoming increasingly intrusive. If it's welcome, if it's part of a process, if it's been prefaced by some other contact, they're very receptive, it's very effective. Especially if you've segmented them. If you've said, hey, this is a person that's very interested. This is a person that's not going to be interested for 6 months. This is a person that told me they weren't interested at all, but they gave me permission to follow up. So that combination can make email very, very effective. So definitely do not discard it from your process, but it maybe is not your opening line.
And always have a call to action, guys. If you're going to send out an email, have a call to action, whether that's go and download this particular piece of material, whether that's, if I can't get in contact with you, but you want to hear what I have to say, show up on our conference call Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Or whether it's here's a quick little link to my calendar. We love to use that calendar. We use simplybook.me, and we'll put our link out there saying we can't get in contact with you, but we'd love to talk to you. Why don't you go ahead and schedule something on our calendar? Always have a call to action on your emails. Don't just send an email to go, hey, how you doing? I'm trying to reach you. Have a good day. No, have a call to action.
Definitely. When I talk about nurturing, this is really kind of when you start to put all these things together. So if I have an engaged contact, my nurturing system is going to, number one, probably be at a quicker tempo. Maybe I'm going to contact on a weekly basis. Maybe I'm going to alternate between phone calls and emails. Back and forth, or maybe I'm going to do phone calls and I'm going to do direct mail, incrementally putting these together, and then maybe have an unengaged segment, and I'm going to do that at a different tempo, and maybe I'm going to use different techniques. Maybe I'm going to use direct mail, or maybe I'll use an email, but I'll use it less direct. So that's kind of what nurturing is, and you can see as we get to be more complex here, it's going to be really hard to do if you're trying to do it with your email inbox or you're trying to do it with a spreadsheet. You're just not going to be able to accomplish these kind of sophisticated systems in an effective way. Here's my direct mail system. Again, I always start with a call. If you put a call on the front end of the direct mail piece, I guarantee you will triple, even quadruple the performance of that direct mail because there's, again, that familiarity. So if you get age leads or you get any sort of lead file or even internet marketing and you put a piece of mail in there, don't put that mail Don't blast out that mail until you make a phone call, so they know who you are and they know when they get it. Oh, this is the person who called me, and that was really considerate to spend X amount of cents on a postcard to follow up with me. And this is how we kind of pull it all together, right? We want to take our leads. We want to get them into an overall sales database where we're probably doing a lot of different sales techniques. We want to incorporate our dialer and our call follow-up system. We definitely don't want to neglect email. It's a really efficient way to sort of make money while you sleep, which we're all looking to do, right? And that can be set up ahead of time, a welcome series into an autoresponder. Again, it just works while you're doing the things that you have to be engaged with, like calls. And then, of course, your website. A lot of people forget this. The first thing anybody does anymore, if they hear your voice or they hear the name of your company, they're probably going to go to their browser. They're probably going to go to their phone, and they're going to Google it, or they're going to put it in there, and they're going to check out your web presence. So that needs to be professional, and it can also reinforce sort of that callback. They may not have captured your number from the voicemail, but by the time they check you out on the website and they say, hey, this is somebody professional that I want to work with, you just reinforce an easy way to get back to you. So don't neglect that, and it doesn't take too much to have a professional website these days. So with that, I think we stayed underneath the time, hopefully, Dr. Williams. Let's do a closing poll question.
Okay. And then we're going to take some real questions. Guys, those of you that have live questions, go ahead and raise your hand or submit your question, and I want to talk to you live. So let's go ahead now, though. While he's doing that, I'm going to open up the poll questions back over here. 1 second. All right, so everyone should be able to see my screen. Can you see my screen?
I have it back.
Okay, no problem. Let's see. Nope.
Yep, looks like you're up. Yep.
All right, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and open up the poll here. And we'll get you going. All right, and the final poll question is, what? I don't have that question built into my system.
Okay.
What was the question again?
So the question is, based on what I've heard, I am likely to use age leads within the next 30 days, within the next year, or never.
Oh yeah, I don't have that question. I'm sorry about that. Don't know why that's not in my system. Okay, so here's if you can see the poll question right now, though. No, they've already voted on this one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't build that into my system. So that's completely on me.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we can open it up to questions, and then hopefully we'll kind of get some of this out of the questions. But I would definitely encourage people to ask questions, because between yourself and us, over the decades we've been doing this, I'm sure we've seen just about anything.
Absolutely. All right. So let's start with some questions first. Let's come back over here, and the first question says, are the age leads scrubbed for DNS? So hold on, Nick. I'm going to open this up here and let you ask that question live. This is Mr. Christensen. All right, there you go. Okay, Nick, can you hear me? Nick, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Nick, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
So go ahead, Nick, ask your question.
Yeah, I was wondering if the leads coming in are going to be on the do not solicit list, or how that really works. I mean, because I would assume, most people nowadays are on that, and if they've requested the initial lead a while back, I didn't know how that would really affect us.
At the moment, any leads that are 86, this is Troy Wilson. At the moment, any leads that are 86 days or more old in our system, we attempt to remove most of the ones on the federal do not call list from, as they're about to pass the 90-day DNC window.
So his answer.
But you're still responsible for scrubbing them yourselves and maintaining a SAN number. And we're just trying to, if you pay for 100 leads, we don't want you to go out and scrub them like if you bought them from any other age lead vendor and then find out that, there's only 50 callable ones that are not on the DNC. So now your real cost, instead of being $1 a lead, ended up being $2 a lead. So with us, kind of you get what you pay for. Like you're trying to buy 100 callable leads, you're going to get 98 to 100 callable leads. So a lot better value than I think you'll find with other age lead providers.
So, Nick, I think that answers your question. Short answer is yes, they do their absolute best to scrub those leads. Something may fall through the crack. There's never 100% of anything. One or two might fall through the crack, but 97, 98% of every lead that you buy from them is not on the do not call list. It is a callable lead.
Not on the federal anyway. It could be on the state, do not call list.
But on the federal.
Do that, so you'll have to see. Some states have their own state do not call list. Some states don't. A lot of states just go by the federal. But.
Right, and then you got to remember also, you need to scrub it through your carrier. Let's say you're an Allstate or State Farm or Farmers, you need to scrub it through their list as well. So anytime you're buying these leads, Nick, that's a great question, by the way. Anytime you're buying these leads, you have to account for that. You just can't say, I bought 100 leads and I'm going to be able to talk to 100 people. Well, there are all these other variables. You got he scrubs for federal, but you got the state, you got the carrier DNC list that's out there. So you may only end up with 90 out of the 100. Now, if you use that sales formula that I talked about, you're gonna know how many you're supposed to buy because you know what your projected sales goals are based on your history. So, Nick, does that answer your question, though? I know we gave you a lot of stuff, but does that answer your question? Okay. He answered that real quick. It does. All right, perfect. So the next question, let's open it up here, and let's get some other folks on the line. Let's talk to Mr. Hoffmeyer. Let me see, where you at here, Jeff? Jeff and I have been sitting here texting or emailing back and forth, not texting. So now let me find you. All right. All right, Jeff, can you talk to me?
I can talk to you.
Perfect. Excellent. So, Jeff,
give
me
I guess
comments or questions. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, say give me comments or questions.
No, one of my biggest thing was I knew that I had bought Blitz for my CRM and listened to some agents, and they weren't happy with it, and they stopped. And I said, well, Blitz is not a lead system; it's a lead management system. And I just, we've been having trouble just finding somebody to kind of, because you get training from the company, but to get real-time or real-life training from another agent who's successful at using it effectively is difficult to find. So that mentoring, and I like your concept of mentoring. I hadn't even heard of that before. To learn how to do that and implement those systems effectively in my agency is something that I'm very interested in listening to.
Okay, well, Jeff, here's the deal I'll tell you about when it comes to mentoring or internet leads, or it doesn't matter what it is. Internet leads is a great segue into this, is that you need multiple things in your business. And if you're captive, and I don't know if you're captive or not, but if you're captive, you need 3 times as many things going as an independent agent, because as an independent, I can always move you to another company, or I can quote another company. I don't just have vanilla ice cream. Whereas as a captive, you kind of have vanilla ice cream. Now, it may be great vanilla ice cream, but at the end of the day, you can throw some sprinkles on it. You can put a little chocolate chip. You can do some syrup, but underneath all that, it's still vanilla ice cream. So understanding that, you have to go out and find people who want and need and appreciate vanilla ice cream. And that's a hell of a lot more people than if I sold 31 flavors, and I opened it up to 100 people and only 10 of them like vanilla ice cream. And that's why we tell captive guys, you have got to market more than an independent. You got to market better. You got to market more effectively. You got to market stronger. And you've got to have better conversations and better role play and better technology than an independent agent, because you are vanilla ice cream. And you could be great vanilla ice cream. You could be Bluebell vanilla ice cream. And there's no ice cream better than Bluebell vanilla ice cream.
Amen.
Okay. But at the end of the day, it's still vanilla. So that's what you have to remember. And listening to those negative Nellies within your carrier organization is the worst thing you can do. Okay. Because I wrote this little piece that said, are you really telling me nothing works in your agency? And I've talked to agents, Jeff, where nothing worked. AIDS internet leads doesn't work. Real time doesn't work. Social networking doesn't work. Drip email doesn't work. Marketing doesn't work. It doesn't matter what you name. Oh, I tried that. It didn't work. Well, maybe it's not the marketing. Maybe it's you. So don't listen to those negative Nellies about what doesn't work. You try it. You put the numbers to it. You put the math to it, and then make your decisions based on real effective use of what you're trying to do. That's what I would tell you when it comes to mentoring. And I think any good mentor is going to tell you that.
Right on.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeff, for the. I know it was more than what you asked for, but I think there are other agents that needed to hear it as well. Okay, thank you. All right, so Bill, go ahead. I've got a couple of folks out here that looks like they might have a question, but I just want to make sure that you've covered everything that you wanted to cover.
We have. We've got hopefully those systems are helpful and people were taking close notes there. And then of course we'll show you here at the end how you can follow up with us if you have any specific questions about the systems or how to get it in place, or as we say, how to get just enough at bats. So one thing I didn't mention earlier that I like to mention, and I know this is a big
I'm going
thing
to transfer it back over to you so we can close out on your slides.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Okay.
So let me go ahead and go full screen here. So, of course, we always want you to get enough at bats, and we think Age Lead is one of the most affordable ways to do that. But as I kind of sit on this special offer here, the thing that I always like to remind people, and I know you do as well, Dr. Williams, is if you're more than a shop of one, or maybe you are a shop of one, but you're just trying to perfect this sales process, and you're trying to sort of take it to another level, or you're an agency and you've got multiple agents, you've got some experienced folks and you've got some less experienced folks, or you just want to, as the market changes and surges and contracts, you want to be able to train new people and do that in a consistent way. Again, Age Leads become a very economical way to give those new folks, or give those more seasoned folks that maybe not used to working the online marketplace, so to speak. Age Leads really gives you sort of an affordable way to take a chance, to let them have enough at bats, to get enough learnings, or even yourself to perfect your own sales process. Or as you start to grow bigger, you're going to have to perfect a sales process that can go across a larger organization. So again, we can using Age Leads can give you a marketing source that has high intent, but will be affordable enough so that you can train that whole organization in a consistent fashion, and you can avoid the most demotivating point in any salesperson or any sales organization's time, and that is just being there sitting looking at an empty pipeline, looking at an empty database. There's nothing more demotivating than that, than having to go out there and hunt and do cold calling and dial through the phone book and those sorts of things. So Age Lead, if nothing else, can be maybe one of the highest motivating things that you can do within your organization.
Because you got something to do. You're working. You're not just sitting there on your butt. Hey, we got a question from Dave Sievertson. Dave, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, hi, Billy. This is Dave. And a couple of questions I had. Any recommendations of working auto leads or homeowners leads, or what can you highlight what the differences might be?
Troy, that's where you jump in. What he's asking is what's the best quality lead for him to buy. So, Troy, what is your response to that based on your Age Leads? Troy's not with us anymore?
Well, I can kind of jump in here as far as like, what particular lead type has the most success, and I'll tell you quite honestly, across agencies, what gets purchased in the highest volume. Health, and these kind of bounce back and forth, but health and auto have a tendency to be bought in the highest volume, and it kind of makes sense. So life, in a sense, people usually make a decision, they get happy with that, they get comfortable with that, and then it sort of goes on autopilot. But what we've seen with agents is the health and the auto, because just the nature of the product and the nature of the mindset that people are buying it in, they're kind of always in the market, right? Because there's always a different situation, there's always a different auto. They're aging, or maybe they've encountered a different sort of change in their health scenario. So I think health and auto, health being the highest right now and auto being the second, are usually bought in the most common and routine frequency and at the highest volumes, because there's just a tendency for more of those people to sort of always be in the market. So again, that's what the data shows us, at least on our Age Lead store.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave. You had another question?
Yeah, a couple of years ago I used a different vendor, and at first they were very good. For Age Leads, and we did homeowners leads, and that worked out well. And then their funnel kind of dried up, and they had very little lead flow. Then they came back with lots of leads, but they were just horrible leads and not worth the time to work them. And that's when I stopped working Age Leads. And I wondered, are you guys using any affiliate marketing and companies that are offering incentives to people that get leads? Or how are you, how are these people coming into your system, and for what reasons have they come in?
They should all be internet generated insurance quote requests.
This is
They
Troy.
come in through
This is
email,
Troy Wilson,
email or
President.
SEO or display advertising. There shouldn't be any incentivized marketing, or hopefully not many or any co-regs or no surveys, or we're constantly
No iPods?
removing.
No, nobody's like, oh, you called me to give me my iPod?
So yeah, I mean my affiliates and vendors are constantly trying to weed out any fraud or any kind of bad affiliates, and keep things as keep the leads as good as possible.
But Dave, like anything, there's always stuff that's going to slip through the cracks, and I'll tell anybody that. So, let me kind of touch on this real quick. When we talk about age internet leads, I don't want to paint age internet leads like they're the end all, know all. They're the next coming of sliced bread or something like that. They are a part of your marketing tool bag. A very important part of your marketing tool bag, but they're a part of your marketing tool bag. So if your goal is to go out and live exclusively on aged leads, then you're going to have to buy a hell of a lot of aged leads using the sales formula that we put in place for you to reach your goals. Okay? And so understanding that, Troy, and who I've known for years, Troy tries to do the absolute best. I've never seen anyone spend as much money on trying to filter and trying to append meaning trying to locate the VIN number and trying to locate, is this the right person, and trying to locate, is this a real email address, and if it's not, what is the real email address? I've never seen a vendor spend as much money on doing that as Troy does. But with all that, Dave, there's always going to be crap that comes through. And at the end of the day, he buys it from other folks. So he has to maybe go through 2 or 3 bad folks and get rid of those before he's settled in on 2 or 3 really good folks. And again, I'm defending him because I know his practices. That's the thing. But with all of that, with all that effort and all that money, there's always going to be crap that gets through. There's crap that gets through on real time, and there's crap that's going to get through on age, which are really real time that he bought, a little bit after they became real leads. So with that being said, Dave, I just want to defend. I know my friend, and I know what he does, and I know he really tries to bust his butt to give you the best quality that he can.
Oh,
So
your endorsement means a ton, but I just tried a different vendor. I mean, we had the other presentation, and I told you I like those leads, and I tried somebody different out of California, and the first 12 leads I had to return 11 out of 12. So that's the kind of thing that I'm
Wow.
trying to stay away from.
That wasn't the guy that I talked about last week, was it?
No. EverQuote's in Massachusetts. No, I've had good success with them. I mean, at least everybody's interested in the quote.
Good.
The average age is skewed high, but we'll see how that works out.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, one other thing I would bring into this, and everything that Dr. Williams has said is true, and Age Lead Store, there's a lot of sort of quality control and processes to make sure that we filter that and give you the best lead possible. But the other thing that from time to time happens that I would encourage you to put in the management of your business as well, and you may already do this, is take into consideration market effects as well. Because again, in one of the scenarios you described, I would probably guess was a little bit of a market impact thing, where potentially at one point you go into the store and it's just full of what you need and the leads that you want, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, there's a notable gap. There are market effects that from time to time will change the volume and even the quality of the leads in internet channels. Health in particular, there's been so much dynamic change in the healthcare market over the last several years. When things happen in that healthcare market and it changes the dynamics of the market, or just the news cycle itself, ups the awareness of healthcare and customers being involved in sort of selecting their healthcare and making healthcare choices, and of course open enrollment and those sorts of things. The market and the internet leads as a result will go through some natural cycles. So you should probably also be aware of those and just pay attention to the news. And as the news spikes up and people are telling people to be concerned about their healthcare decisions, the internet leads will just fill up. And so you should take advantage of that. So also be aware of sort of market impacts that either ups or decreases the amount of people that are probably inquiring at any given time. I know the mortgage market, this isn't our concern, but the mortgage market goes through this probably in the most observable way, where we move from purchase to refi markets from time to time. The same thing happens in insurance. So also be aware of those factors because they can impact what we can provide as well.
As well as carrier rates. And this is why in your CRM and in your systems, you need to make sure that you're aware of where those leads came from and who their current carriers are. Always ask that question. If you're not going to get a quote, at least get an X date with information. Because if State Farm takes a rate increase, or Allstate or Progressive or anybody else takes a rate increase, now you're going to see more inquiry on lines for insurance because those carriers have taken big rate increases. So Dave, that's another thing. You're still open, Dave. That's another thing that you have to look for as well. And this is why, Dave, we teach you the formulas. This is why we say, look, don't just swag. Don't just do a sophisticated wild ass guess and hope you get it right. Use the formulas. If I spent this much money last month and I got this many sales based on those formulas, where do I need to go next? So does that make sense, Dave?
Well, it does, and I'm trying to take all this and put them into the system and work the system like we discussed.
Absolutely, all the time we discuss. All right, we need to shut her down, Bill. It's good conversation. I'm loving it, but we need to let these folks get back to work.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time and the opportunity. I've got Troy. He's the best person to contact if you need any follow-up on any of the specific details, and of course you can get to me through him. And then, of course, if you want to buy Age Leads to try some of these systems, he's the man to help you. So thanks so much, Dr. Williams, for the opportunity to be in front of this great audience.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Guys,
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yep, guys, remember I have a new ebook out called How to Build a $10 Million Agency in 5 Years. You can go out to our website at www.inspireanation.org and check it out. It's only $29, but it will make you thousands and thousands and thousands of bucks, okay? So I just want to plug that for a second. Appreciate you being here, and look for our next series. Our next series is on all things telemarketing, and that's going to start in November. So this one was on all things internet leads at 5 web sessions. Our next series is on all things telemarketing, and we'll look at the different ways and the different variations of telemarketing that's out there as well, okay, including how Age Leads fit into telemarketing. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for participating, and we will see you at our next session. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, guys.